Most of us experience pivots or relevant changes in our lives, saying goodbye to a job or a relationship, some of them being bigger, some smaller, some more challenging, some less so. Many will label these changes as setbacks. Few will get to see and feel their positive long-term impact. What a myth. My own personal and professional experience has taught me. Life pivots can serve as transformative catalysts for both personal growth and leadership development. Life pivots make better leaders. But first, what are pivots? When searching online, we see that the definition of a pivot is a usually marked change. Equally interesting, though, is how pivots make us feel. Let's do a quick exercise to get in tune with the emotional side of pivoting. And for that, I would like you to close your eyes and to go back in time to 2 pivots. One in your personal life, one in your professional life. First, with your eyes closed, think of a moment in your personal life when you realized you had to change tracks, when you had to say goodbye to someone or something that was a relevant part of your life, a partner, a job, a habit. Today, how do you feel about this pivot? Savor that feeling. Capture that feeling. And now, with your eyes still closed, think of a moment in your professional life when you realized your business had to go on a very different path than the one it was currently on. When you had to discontinue a product or service line, had to change the route to market, or reshape the organization. Today, how do you feel about this pivot? Thank you. You may open your eyes. A few weeks ago, I was chatting with a couple of my friends about pivoting, and each in their own ways, they were all referring to moments of proactively looking for better alternatives. And they were all thrilled and excited about pivoting. And then I noticed they were thinking of business pivots only. And of course, ever since Agile and the lean startup entered the corporate world, we've been captivated with stories of businesses that started out as something completely different and then pivoted into something much more successful. We've learned to love business pivots. However, when the focus shifts to our personal lives, the connotation tends to change, exposing a pivot paradox. You want to move across the world and leave others behind? You want to turn a hobby into a venture? Or show another true side of yourself? Well, we tend to stress about, fear, try to hold off, or avoid altogether these types of pivots. And we may be inclined to also discount pivots in other people's personal lives. We may call them crazy or label them as a midlife crisis. Now, let me share with you 2 pivots of my own life that have been fueling my learning about pivoting. The most impactful pivot of my life to date clearly was having my daughter. A very special pivot. Because it's not simply a choice, nor is it simple. Thinking of the 6 a.m. toddler tantrums waking up the neighbors, yeah. And of course, it's a change that's affecting every single part of your life. And it does so suddenly. From one day to the other, there is this unparalleled feeling of responsibility for someone else. A few years into motherhood, I realized that the agility and the resilience I had demonstrated when moving into this new parental role had increased my confidence. My confidence to say, I am ready. I am ready to take on new, challenging situations. And to do so in a more adaptive and more flexible way, both in my personal and my professional life. And today I'm convinced the more pivots I pull off, the better prepared I become. The second situation I would like to share with you is referring to a recent change in my professional life. I decided to leave my first ever employer after 17 years. A big move for someone in my generation. Some would call it a bold choice. Others would use the word risky. And some would even show their own discomfort at me not knowing yet what was going to come next. Clearly not recommended when talking with someone in the middle of a life pivot, just saying. And a few months later, I was announcing that I was also changing industries, going from leadership roles in a big corporate to advising on leadership matters. Those who knew me well would say, this made so much sense. Some would reach out and ask for my support to do something similar, which is essentially what is also bringing me here today. From this experience, I took away that life pivots work twice, now and later. There is the immediate effect, a sense of relief as we quit being unhappy. There is increased life satisfaction, better alignment with values, and likely also higher confidence for the future. And then there is the positive mid to long-term effect that's linked to increased empathy and authenticity. The vulnerability that comes with pivoting can help foster trust and deepen connection with those around us. And we may be better positioned to understand the struggles of others and figure out how to support them on their own paths to pivot. This aspect is also of particular relevance in my professional role today. In the leadership development and in the executive search work at our firm, we highly believe in the value and relevance of our lived experiences. The first-hand experiences of an individual that give us unique insights, knowledge, and experiences that others will typically not have. Based on experiences spanning both the personal and the professional life, from birth until today. And of course, including the bumpy rides that may have had a transformative effect on us, on our personality, and on our leadership. Of course, contrary to the examples I've shared so far, there are also pivots that are simply being forced upon us. Life goes well, and then bam, something unexpected and unwanted happens. Our health gets jeopardized. A partner decides to leave a relationship, or a job gets lost. These moments will hit us differently, and they will likely require a different approach than a pivot that's a true choice, such as changing your field of study or opting for an expat life or using your corporate knowledge in a venture of your own. And still, also these pivots that are a true privilege, they do come with their own set of challenges. Challenges that can be better tackled when we are prepared. Things will change more often than we like, and in ways that we won't necessarily like. And therefore, the art of the life pivot is an essential skill. My own experience has allowed me to see pivoting as a set of 5 distinct and sequential actions that can help us navigate through and keep the right perspective throughout. And today, I very literally pivot. I pause, investigate, value, orchestrate, and treasure. I pivot. First, I pause. I understood I had to stop sleepwalking into the future and instead become more intentional about what I was doing and who I was being with. And for that to happen, I needed to get out of my usual busyness more often and take time to reflect, to become attentive to the little hints, to see the triggers that are showing either my resistance to the current environment or the inspiration that's drawing me to something new. And I tend to see these triggers when I go over the journal entries of the past weeks, or when I ask close friends about the themes they've seen arise in our most recent conversations. And then I investigate. I try to figure out whether the trigger is a strong enough mandate to actually pivot. If there is lack of satisfaction, if there is lack of alignment with values and purpose, I need to know why that is. And if I'm constantly thinking about the other thing while I'm doing the current thing, I probably needed to pivot yesterday. And then I value. I look at all the different options on the table and I make a choice. And of course, pivoting my life as a minimum viable product has more at stakes than pivoting a service or product line. And therefore, it is completely okay to feel uncomfortable. And still, we will want to face the fear of so-called failure. We will want to address the worry of external judgment. And we will want to mute the inner skeptic. And then it's already time to orchestrate, to draw up a very concrete pivot action plan, fairly easy in comparison. The only tricky part is noticing that the consequences are now starting to become real. And of course, habits and routines will have to change. Having a self-selected support network that has no stakes in the plan and only wants my very best tends to help in that phase. And finally, I try hard not to forget to treasure. I want to draw confidence from what I have just pulled off. And I also want to own the narrative. My lived experiences become part of my value proposition. And likewise, your lived experiences become part of your value proposition. Now, to make sure we keep things real, of course, pivoting is never as easy or straightforward as it may have sounded in the past few minutes. Changing a significant part of your life without second thoughts, struggles, doubts, and exhaustion, this is unlikely to happen. Pivoting is hard for everyone. And there are tools such as a simple process I've just shared with you, that can help us make the right choices and see them through with strength. And the more we exercise the pivot muscle, the stronger it gets, the easier it becomes to quit being unhappy, to go for the bold choice despite the challenging consequences. And the better prepared we become to also support others on their paths to pivot, regardless of where they need our support, be it at home or in the office. And if there's just one thought you want to take away from this talk, let it be this one. The next time you're faced with an unexpected and unwanted twist in your life, hold on. Get your support network in place. See it through based on the confidence coming from all the things you've already pulled off in your life. And wait for the likely transformative effect on you and your leadership to kick in. Your biggest challenge today may turn into your biggest strength tomorrow, because life pivots make better leaders. Thank you.